Well, we'd like to welcome Abby Miller. Yay! She is an actor known for roles on The Sinner and Justified and Mad Men.
Yeah.
And also the biggest leading role of them all, Mama!
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about like where you're at in the spectrum of fertility, pregnancy, motherhood right now.
Okay. Right now he's 10 months old, 10 and a half. So I'm like in the Labrynth, did I talk to you about the Labrynth? Okay, so I have a really amazing birth educator. She like deals with everything birth related through Greek mythology. But anyway, the Greek goddess that goes to visit her sister in the underworld, and she puts on like all of her best everything, like her headpiece and her armor, and she's, wears this beautiful ornate necklace, and like she's just like going looking her best. And essentially she gets stopped like along the way numerous times, and every time she gets stripped of something. It like sometimes just gets ripped off of her, so that by the time she finally lands in the underworld and is like with her sister, she's naked and like beaten and like bruised and bloody. And her sister sees her, and then she dies. And her sister hangs her on a hook. And I remember, and that's how she ended the first week of class. And she hangs her on a hook, and I'll see you next week. And I was like, what? So because the first week was all about birth. And so that's essentially like her way of talking us through like entering the labyrinth and like getting yourself through like every contraction and getting harder, and or whatever word you want to associate with labor, and then you have the baby. And that is like the hanging you on a hook is essentially like the old you is no more, because like and I said this for you, and I'm like, it still gets me, but like for good or for good and for bad, like you are a forever changed person, and like it is the most beautiful thing that old you is gone. But it is like also really, really like just sad,
Well, because I feel like it's all you've known. Being real about it and the authenticity that you have is like so helpful to everybody else. And I think this is like one of the reasons why this is going to be a really wonderful gift to so many people listening or watching, because even if they're not moms, you know, just it's okay. Yeah. It's okay if you feel bad, and it's okay to talk about it.
Yeah. They say like it takes a year for you to you kind of come out of the labyrinth. So a year postpartum. Okay. And so I'm almost out of the labyrinth, meaning I don't even want to say out of the craziness, just feeling more like myself.
Yeah. Like what were some of the things that you talking about this labyrinth, or even before that you were feeling or you experienced?
I thought I was going to have the hardest time getting pregnant. And then I didn't have a hard time getting pregnant, but I did have a miscarriage. My first time we tried, we were 12 weeks in and we ended up miscarrying, which was crazy. I mean, I told so many people that I was pregnant because I was leaving town to go to work in New York for 4 months. Because of that, when we miscarried at 12 weeks, I had a huge community of people that all knew I'd miscarried now. Right. And that's another thing. It's like women don't want to talk about miscarriages because it's horrible. It's painful. It's unbelievably sad. Like you fall in love with your baby and you lose your baby. And it was horrible. I just cannot stress that enough. However, that gift that came from that was anybody that knew anybody that had miscarried, they could send them to me and I would talk to them about like the experience, and we could share in that. It's like there's a sense of community. Like I was so open. I mean, it was so bad. Like I was on this job and I told everybody, all the producers and the actors, and I was playing a cop. It was The Sinner. It was The Sinner. And I remember the costume guy, he was trying to put my big giant belt on, and he's like, whoa, somebody lost some weight. And I was so in a space of vulnerability that I was like, yeah, I had a fucking miscarriage. And I never saw the guy again. Let's just say that, like, he was not okay. Like, I just was like, bleh. And I wasn't okay.
This is also a key why you should never comment on women's bodies.
No.
There we go. Just keep it to yourself.
You don't know what we've been. You don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know. I mean, I feel bad for the dude, but I don't. But I mean,
he learned. He'll never say that again.
Never, ever again comment on a woman's body when he's putting a belt.
One star, like a new star was born at that moment in the sky, I think.
But I do think I was like, because I was so open and because I'd been talking about it, I just continued to talk about it. Yeah. And that was, I think, the gift was that, you know, we can talk about it. Yeah. Again, another thing that we should talk about more because it's
happening all the time.
It's happening all the time.
Awesome. Okay, thank you so much. And then the new show, Home Before Dark.
Yeah, Home Before Dark is the show. It's going to be on Apple in the fall, and I don't know exactly what day.
That's okay, because it's going to be so big that everyone's going to be like, oh my gosh, I already know when it's starting.
Yeah.
So check Abby out in Home Before Dark.
Thank you.
And see us on the streets just drinking wine and coffee.
Yeah, you may find us at some random cafe.
So lovely. You're such a gift.
You too.